Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fueling Your Legacy. Man, I am pumped to be here today. Pump. Man, yeah, it's exciting. If you can think of all the things you're excited about today, put them all into if you could imagine feeling all of those experiences all at once, that's how excited I am today. This topic, super important to me. For many reasons, but probably the main reason is right now we have about month and a half old baby. And so sleep is kind of on and off and not super accessible, but this week, we're talking about health and wealth and how those jive together and how important it is to manage your health and make sure that you're on track with your health. And as a result of making sure you're on track with your health, you're going to increase your wealth. That's the topic of the week. Definitely, you can check this out. Obviously, you're on my podcast, but on top of that, you can go to my website, samknickerbocker.com, get access to my free ebook, and also my webinar should be going live here shortly. We're just working out a few of the kinks to make sure that the links are appropriately going through. And as we do that, then we're going to be able to blow up and help more people in the world with this. So it's not just people here in America where I'm at, but I know that there's people who listen to this podcast from all over the world. And so as you do that, go to my website and you're going to find this information. It's going to help you no matter where you're at. These are principles, mindsets, habits, mindsets, and behaviors that are really going to launch you no matter what your monetary system is. They're going to help you increase your wealth. And one, your wealth, but two, your ability to add value. And that comes from an inner self add value. And so you definitely want to go find and get access to those. My book, like I said on Monday, I'm not going to tell you why I think it's important for you to become financially successful. Just know the book is all about the why it is important for you to become financially successful, wildly successful, more money than you can ever imagine or fathom. That's how much money you need in your life. And so you're going to find out why I believe that when you go get this book and download it for yourself. If you're struggling with the website, just go to catch me on Instagram at Sam Knickerbocker, or you can find me also on Facebook. Direct message me, say, hey, I want the ebook, and I'll send it right over to you. Sometimes just while the links are getting figured out on my website, it's not always working perfectly. But with that being said, I'm super excited to share about sleeping. Sleeping's so important. So there's a book called Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson. That's what we're going to be reviewing today. This book is definitely the most extensive book I've ever read about sleeping. I've read a few books about sleeping, and a lot of them, I would say they're pretty subjective in that they think, oh, you should have this many hours. You should, if you go to bed between this time and this time, it's going to be better. Go to bed with the sun, wake up with the sun. All these things that we're told, but not really with any scientific, hard, factual evidence. And that's what I like about this book. This book really dives into all the way down to the chemical atomic structures that happen with the different lighting you have in your room, the different sheets you sleep on, the different plants you may or may not have in your room, where you store your electronics, how often you're turning on and off your electronics, to the amount of water, the type of water that you're drinking, the type of pills you're using, the type of bed that you're using. Even goes down to sort of the timing, but the timing's not what you've typically heard when it comes to the timing of your sleep. It doesn't really address that. There's some people who sleep very little, like a few hours a night, maybe 4 to 5 hours a night. And then there's other people who are sleeping 8 and 9 hours, and it's different for everybody. Goes into the mindset of what you need to be doing before you go to sleep, how to prepare yourself from state of meditation to make sure that you're able to really get the most out of your sleep. And then also, what's the proper way of waking up? How do you really wake up and make sure that when you are waking up, it gives you the benefits of your sleep rather than kind of trying to take those benefits away? How do you get into power poses or power sleep poses, right? Because we've heard this multiple times where when you're laying down at night, one of the reasons that we have some of the most self-defeating thoughts as we go to bed, feelings of worry, concern, fear that we aren't going to be able to accomplish what we have. Some of the reasons for that is when we put our body in a physical state of of almost vulnerability in a lot of cases. I mean, I know a lot of people who sleep kind of in a fetal position or curled up a little bit. That is like the most weak position you could possibly be in. And when your body's in a weak position, then naturally your whole chemistry changes, and then your mind actually goes into a weak position. So learning how to power pose sleep, not just power pose while you're standing up before you go into an event. If you watch my Facebook, you saw me doing some pump up exercises before I get on my podcast or before I go into a meeting. Little things that I do to really maximize my physical state and make sure that I'm always in a perfect physical state. But what's interesting is you can do that while you're sleeping. You can train yourself to sleep in power poses, so you're not losing as much physical energy when you're sitting there and sleeping. The other thing is, well, what if you just can't sleep? What if you're struggling to sleep? Well, it goes into the different food habits, the different health habits, the different drinking habits, like different teas and things to drink that will help you get into the perfect sleeping state. Now, sometimes even then it's still hard to fall asleep. And so then he even teaches you how to get the same or a very equivalent level of rest as if you're sleeping, but you can still be totally awake by just learning the different wave frequencies of your brain and when what frequencies you operate in for different activities. So like for logical thinking, you operate in a certain frequency. For dreaming, just daydreaming and thinking about being creative and things, you operate in another frequency. Then the next step is like this lucid dreaming where you're kind of awake, but not completely. That's just another frequency of your mind that you can put yourself in that frequency or that trance anytime you want. And so learning these tactics to really get the most out of your sleep are hugely, hugely, wildly important. Goes into how much light you should have in your room when you're sleeping or should not have in your room when you're sleeping, and how to control that. He directs you to different companies and different things that can really maximize your sleep from like down to literally an atomic level, your body being made up of lots of atoms, just balls of energy. How can you maximize your ball of energy that we call your body? How can you maximize the best state of rest for all of those atoms? Okay. When you're getting that specific, yes, it's no longer like just milk and cookies, right? This is the meat and potatoes of sleep. So if you really want to learn sleeping, learn how to get the most out of your sleep, then this is important. Now, for me, as I said in the beginning, I have a little baby. And so our sleep has been very interrupted. I learned a while ago. So I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints out in Scotland and Ireland. And we would be traveling on buses. So we did a lot of our traveling on buses. And anybody who's ever been a missionary for any church, you know that you work, probably some of your hardest work from a mental and physical state is going to be while you're out serving and blessing the lives of other people. And so that was the case. And whenever I would sit in a bus, I'd get on a bus, and as soon as I would sit down, I would be able to go to sleep in seconds. And it was this like third level of sleep where it's like you're just barely tapping into your subconscious. You're maybe barely dreaming, but you still have to remain awake enough so that you don't miss your stop. Because if you miss your stop, then you're stuck on the bus and maybe you have to walk a little bit more. So the whole purpose of using a bus is to not have to walk as much and to get where you're trying to go quicker. So you don't want to miss your stop. And so you had to stay in this like half awake, half sleep state. And often when it came time to get off, it would be like a lightning jolt of energy, a cattle prod or something, where you just like go from almost a sleep state to hyper adrenaline up and moving quickly. And I learned, at least from my body, that I was getting a lot of headaches being jolted out of this sleep state. And so learning how to go into the sleep state properly and how to come out of that sleep state properly was super crucial for me to really exercise my full potential. Now, fast forward that same concept into now having a baby and trying to raise children. For me, I can operate and do just basic things on like still being 90% asleep and 10% awake. My wife doesn't understand it. My wife doesn't get how I can do that. I trained myself to do that on the mission. But what I found over the last month with my baby is that I was starting to get my headaches again. Because I've been out of practice. I had not had to do this for a while, and I'd been out of practice. I was like, this is not good. So I need to learn how to I needed to go back, reassess this book, and learn how to awake gently, right? So gently awake, give myself the time to really come into full awake state, not being jolted to awake state, but gradually come into full awake state. And then when I needed to go back to bed, go back to sleep. Okay. And so I just spent the last night really with my son. I let my wife put in earplugs and just go to sleep because she needs that. And I chose to take Quincy, my little boy, and sleep with him on the couch so that it wouldn't bother my wife, and wake up and feed him during the night. And it was perfect. I feel so alive and so energized today, more than I felt in the last month. And I think that's a big part of just being intentional. What I also did for me, this is huge when you're going in and out of sleep, okay? And it goes deeply into this in the book, but gratitude is an essential principle when you're going to sleep, okay? Getting yourself into a grateful state before you go to sleep and immediately when you wake up, it almost transforms how you look at the sleep that you got. And what I liked about this morning is when I was up feeding the baby, I got to live in a state of gratitude. I got to live in a position where I was just being grateful for my son, grateful he's alive, grateful for all of his beautiful smiles and his eyes and his fingers and his toes and all these just wonderful things about him. And then also I got to be grateful for my wife, man. I know that the time and the stress and the energy that she puts into being a mother. And I'm so grateful that she allows me to go to work every day. Being a full-time childcare it takes a lot of energy, and you need your sleep if that's what you're doing all day. So it just put me in a massive state of gratitude. It gave me the opportunity to meditate on the things that I wanted to accomplish today, and then to focus on the future. And so getting your sleep really is the habit that you need to get into, and the habit and behaviors. So we want to talk about the habit and behaviors really quick. The habit would be going to bed at a certain time and waking up at a certain time, going to bed at a certain time, waking up at a certain time. Those would be like habits. What I would say, and also sleep training yourself so that you are not using electronics a certain time before bed, not using them a certain time after you wake up. Also sleeping in the power poses that I mentioned. So those are all going to be habits that you're going to be training yourself to do. Now the behaviors come in when it comes to creating your environment to make sure that you're forced into these habits, right? You want to orchestrate your life so that it goes into that. So if it's phones being cut off, almost all phones now have a timer where you can choose to have your phone just stop working, basically, shut off at a certain time between. They actually have it on a sleep timer is what they call it. And its purpose is to help you get more sleep and to less use of your cell phone. But you can set it to like, hey, at 10 o'clock, I want everything to shut down. I don't want to receive notifications. I don't want to receive any of that. And I don't want to get anything till 7 in the morning or whatever. You can set that parameters. So you're using your behaviors right now to create an environment to support your habits. Now that's crucial to make sure that you're creating your behaviors to create the environment to ensure that your habits happen, and thus your habits become more of a lifestyle change, not just something you're planning on doing for a little bit of time. Now the mindset comes in, and we kind of talked about this in the gratitude. Okay, we've got to get in the right mindset before we go to sleep, thinking of all the things we're grateful for, all the things that we've accomplished, maybe one or two things that we feel like we can do better the next day, but definitely weight it on the side of I'm powerful, I've been able to accomplish X, Y, and Z, and I know that I'm going to continue to progress as I continue to do this and as I step into this. Identity that's really going to help you become who you are. I would just strongly suggest, this book, it's 8 hours long. It gets very technical at points. But after reading it, I read it first and then I reread it because I was like, this is really amazing. I had it on double speed the first time on Audible. When I listened to it the second time, I had to bump it down to normal speed because it's just so technical of a book. And I wanted to make sure I got everything. I wanted to make sure that I was able to make the best out of my sleep because I knew that I was going to be having a baby soon, or my wife was going to have a baby. I didn't do it very much in that process. Bless her heart. So that is what I did. And then I also shared it with my wife because my wife sometimes struggles to sleep. And so we were able to get blackout curtains, make sure our room was much darker when we went to sleep. We were able to make sure that our electronics are in different rooms. We're able to make sure that we are focused before we're going to bed, make sure we're doing what is best for ourselves, our bed ritual and our post bed ritual when we wake up. What are we doing? Is it basically always going to be the same? All those things kind of contribute to getting the best sleep possible. Your body wants to know that it has a rhythm and wants to know when it's getting sleepy next. And on that token, if you are feeling a little bit tired at work or feeling a little bit tired somewhere, it's okay to go and take a little nap. If you need to take a little nap, you're actually going to be more effective if you go take a little nap than if you don't. And as an example of that, I did summer sales before I got into the financial industry. And there were many times where I had worked a really late night the night before, woke up early, tried to get out on the doors quickly, but then right around lunchtime, I was drained, man. I was tired and I was not being my best self. Now I could just be like, I'm going to push through. I've got to be awake the whole time. But what that does to your mental state is you're not thinking clearly. You're not able to produce the same and show up fully for your clients. And so it's important that you're in your peak state. And sometimes that means going and taking a 1-2 hour nap. And as you do that, you can wake up re-energized. Also, sometimes what I would do, just because I knew the psychology of sleeping, is if I was feeling a little bit tired in the day, I would go take like a 15-minute nap. I would reset my alarm. I'd turn up the volume in my car all the way loud so that I could re-wake up, go through my whole wake up ritual all over again, to just jumpstart my life and jumpstart my day again. And that simple practice of even just taking a 15-minute nap and having myself woken up and having all that adrenaline again going out, that changed the way I was able to serve my clients and the people that I met while I was knocking doors, and made me so much more successful, like double the amount of sales that I made, simply by changing my routines and being willing to say, okay, I need this rest right now. I need to jumpstart. Me lacking in energy is not helping me. I need to jumpstart my day. And it's worth taking the 15 minutes. I know you think, if I take 15 minutes, I'm never going to get everything done. I'm not going to have the time. It's too hard with kids. It's too hard with whatever. Well, what I think is too hard is trying to do it without being your best self, trying to do it without being at your top performance level. And you hear this in the financial realm as well, where people will say, I don't have the money to go and get more educated. I don't have the money to invest in this. I don't have the money to put towards maybe a nanny or I don't know, just something that's going to help you be more productive and offload more decisions. Because as you do that, you decrease the amount of mental stress that you have, and then you're actually able to be more productive and earn more because you were able to slough off some of those duties that didn't give you power. And so it's important to recognize, okay, what's giving me power? What's helping me increase my productivity? Let's focus on that. Everything that's not helping me increase productivity should be somebody else's job. Or I should go take a nap so that I can be more productive at those things I don't enjoy. So that's my 2 cents there for sleeping, but definitely go and check out the book, Sean Stevenson's Sleep Smarter. I'm going to put a link here in the show notes for you. But I really want to make sure that everybody has access to this because it changed my life, changed my wife's life. And when we abide by the principles really laid out in there, it's given us all more intentional sleep and given us the ability to really show up more fully in our daily lives. So have a wonderful day. And definitely remember, don't forget to go check out my website, samknickerbocker.com. Look for the webinar and also the free ebook. Subscribe to this podcast, leave a review on iTunes, or you can actually go onto my Facebook page as well, Fuel Your Legacy. So you can go to my Facebook page there. You can go to my Facebook page, Sam Knickerbocker, either my personal or my business, and leave reviews. Take a screenshot of you listening to this and post it on social media, and then I will give you a shout out on the next podcast. I'm just super excited to get this message out there and share it with the world. And again, tune in to Friday because we're going to having Chad on the podcast on Friday, and he is just incredible. I know just everything that's going to change in his life, that he's going to help you change in your life from an exercise perspective. He's really going to bring this message together of the health and the wealth and how we can make them work together even when we feel like we have no time. So talk to you soon, and we'll catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.